Jackson faces up to 6 years behind bars as he has been criminally charged. Of course, as Andrews Esquire, the legal mindset we teach you to be your own judge. We're going to get into it today on this one, which I completely called, and I'm taking a little bit of a victory lap on this one because the criminal charges were right exactly as I predicted. Now, let's look into what happened, give you guys a little background. Obviously, he had the incident with Psycho Stu. He delivered, it was believed, recorded 10 or 11 strikes after Stu was completely out of commission. So even after the guy was completely down, at least 10 or 11, if not more, strikes to the guy, not defended against at all, completely down, had to be pulled off. And that was a major incident. And people investigated it. And I called it then that this would come to a criminal charge. And of course, they spent some time to debate this, but we now have what went down. So here's his arrest. Here's the arrest photo over here. Not going to play the video, so it's not copy claimed. But this is a photo of him being brought off on the morning of the 19th. So like I said, he was arrested. Roger was formally arrested on the morning of the 19th. He was charged with felony battery with serious bodily harm, one of the ones that I went through. And we're going to go into detail on this, as well as what the penalties are, what the elements are. Does he have a defense? But he has already paid bond, so he's already released. He's already out. And one important thing to remember is that Rampage had previously said that he believes Roger should do some jail time and community service. Now, I'm not going to play the video. I'll do that on my live version. But if you like these short, fast facts, make sure you like the video and you comment below. Loving the fast facts version. But even Rampage, his dad, agrees. So most people on this want to see him do some jail time. They don't want to see him just walk or get a slap on the wrist. They want to see him do a little bit of time. And let's look at what this would entail. So under the statute, the California statute, under California Penal Code 243, there's battery with serious bodily harm. It's also called aggravated battery. So for brevity, for shortness, we're going to just call it aggravated battery. So this can either be a misdemeanor or a felony. Now, in this case, they have charged him with the felony version. So don't think it's the lightest version. They could have gone even lighter with the charges. Now, what does this mean? What does serious bodily injury mean? It means serious impairment of someone's physical condition, regardless of whether a medical treatment is necessary. So losing a tooth, loss of consciousness, a cut under the eye, broken teeth, wounds to the eyebrow, lips, bone fractures, broken bones, serious disfigurement. We have a lot of those actually in this case. So what are the elements? What is required to prove this crime? Well, the first one is to prove that they willfully and unlawfully touched the victim in a harmful and offensive manner. Now, this is really easy to prove because willfully means on purpose. It doesn't mean you have to have evil intent in your heart or whatever. It just means, did you touch them on purpose? A touch is any physical contact. So it doesn't matter if you're punching someone and they're wearing a mask and it's through clothing. That doesn't matter. It can be through clothing. So whether it's to the shirt or whatever else, you punch somebody, you touch them, you're going to get this as long as it's got serious bodily harm. We've defined that, right? Once again, going back, loss of a tooth, consciousness, cut under the eye, broken tooth, wounds, lips, bone fractures. We have all of that. The last one is you have no defense. Now, that's very, very important. So what are the defenses? Let's talk about that. First is self-defense. So is there any scenario where this could be self-defense? Well, you need to meet all three elements. First, you believe the person has to believe that they are at risk of serious bodily harm. Second, you have to believe the force was necessary to stop the harm. And third, you use no more force than was necessary. So this may have applied. You can make an argument, right? You can make an argument that in a fight, right? If you're in a fight, that using some force to stop that fight is enough. Here's the problem. He was unconscious. He was knocked out. He was flatlined, right? If this guy was just completely not able to fight back at all, at that point, you have a duty to stop. At that point, your self-defense, even if that would be an argument, it's not. It's not an argument at all. Because when a guy is not fighting back, when he is out cold, no, sorry, you don't get to keep going. That's when you have to stop. That's use no more force than was necessary. So even if Roger wanted to defend on that, that's not going to work. So self-defense is out. Next, you need to say there's no serious bodily injury. Now, you would need medical testimony for this, an expert. This is not going to fly. He definitely has serious injury. And even it's so serious, it might aggravate it up to another level. We'll talk about that. But definitely he's not going to get off on no serious injury because that's just not, there's no proof that this guy had a minor bump or something like that. No. This is real. The last is if it's an accident. So if you do an accidental touch, like you trip on somebody and then they're harmed, that would not count. So that kind of negates the willful part, right? Not on purpose. So if you have an accident, it's not on purpose. So that's where we get that. So yes, this was not an accident. He didn't trip and fall on his face 10 to 11 times. No, he punched him in the face 10 or 11 times after he was clearly not able to fight back. So yeah, that's clearly what happened there. Very brutal. So the sentencing, if it was a misdemeanor, it would be only up to 1 year or $1,000, which is really nothing. That's really a nothing burger. But that's not what they charged him with. They charged him with a felony. A felony is up to 4 years in jail and a maximum fine of $10,000. Now, I know what you're saying, Andrew. Andrew, I see the title. It says up to 6 years in jail. Is this clickbait? No, it's not. Let's talk about this. Because the sentencing depends on the severity and criminal history. And there's an exception. If there's what they call great bodily harm, it can go up to 6 years. So that's where we get this. If the court finds there is great bodily harm, they can tag on an extra 2 years to the maximum of the felony. So it can go up to 6. What's required for that? Well, a concussion, broken bones, or contusions count. So we have a chance. I'm not 100% on whether any bones were broken. I know they were fractured. But with the concussion and the contusions, that is very much possible. We got to look at the injuries, but that's very much possible here. So yes, it is possible for up to 6 years. So with this, what do I think is going to happen? What's the reality of what's going to happen? Well, remember, he's a first-time offender. So yes, he could face up to 6 years, and it's always possible that they want to give him a harder sentence because they want to make sure they're not light on crime, et cetera, et cetera. It's always possible. They could look at the video and say, hey, look, this was really bad. Shouldn't have done this. We're going to put this up to, a greater amount. However, I do think that he's probably not going to get more than a year or two maximum in prison. I do think it's a first-time offense. They're not going to throw them away and put him in the jail cell and throw away the key. I think he's going to get that at least, definitely some community service. You could, of course, see it as low as a couple months. You could even see probation. But I don't think that up to 6 years is going to necessarily happen. So yes, he's facing it. Yes, it's possible. Yes, it's on the books. But do first-time offenders get the maximum sentence? No. They don't often do. Now, I could always be surprised. So I do want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think it's fair that he was charged with this? Do you think this is enough? Do you think that he should have been charged with a more severe charge, perhaps mayhem or something else? I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks.